City skyline glittered through the floor to ceiling windows of Taehyung's penthouse apartment. The kind of view he'd once dreamed about while strumming a borrowed guitar in a cramped basement. He sat on the edge of his leather couch, elbows on his knees, head bowed, a half empty whiskey glass dangling from his fingers. The amber liquid sloshed as his hand trembled. His phone lay face down on the coffee table, silent but heavy with the weight of unsent messages to YN. The clock on the wall ticked past midnight, each second louder than the last. A sharp knock at the door made him look at the closed door. He set the glass down, the clink against the glass table echoing in the quiet room. Wiping his face with his sleeve, he crossed the polished floor, his bare feet cold against the hardwood. He opened the door to find Jungkook standing there, his tailored suit pristine, his dark hair swept back but his eyes sharp, cutting through the dim light. You look like hell, Jungkook said, stepping inside without waiting for an invitation. He tossed his keys onto the counter, the metal clattering against marble. Taehyung shut the door, his shoulders slumping. What do you want now? His voice was hoarse, raw from hours of silence and unshed tears. Jungkook leaned against the counter, arms crossed. You did it, didn't you? You broke it off with her. His tone was flat, but his eyes searched Taehyung's face, looking for cracks. Taehyung turned away, walking back to the couch. He picked up the whiskey glass, staring into it like it held answers. Yeah, he muttered. Taking a sip, the burn doing nothing to dull the ache in his chest. I went to her house, told her I couldn't marry her. Jungkook sighed, feeling a little bad for him, but he stayed still, watching Taehyung collapse onto the couch. How'd she take it? Taehyung's fingers gripped the glass harder, his knuckles whitening. How do you think? He snapped. His voice breaking, he set the glass down hard, the liquid splashing over the edge. She looked at me like I ripped her heart out. Her parents were there, Jungkook. Her dad practically threw me out. Jungkook nodded, his expression unreadable. He walked to the window, staring out at the city lights. You did the right thing, he said, his voice low. For her, for you. Taehyung laughed, a bitter, hollow sound. He stood, pacing the room, his hands tugging at his hair. The right thing. He stopped, pointing at Jungkook. You think this feels right? I promised her everything. I told her I'd marry her when I made it. And now his voice cracked and he turned away, his shoulders shaking. Now I'm nothing to her. Jungkook turned, his eyes narrowing. You're not nothing. You're Kim Taehyung, the guy who sold out stadiums, the guy who's got the world at his feet. Taehyung spun around, his eyes red, glistening. I don't want the world, he shouted, his voice echoing off the high ceilings. I wanted her. I still want her. He sank back onto the couch, his hands covering his face. But just because I owe you everything. Jungkook's face softened just for a moment. He crossed the room, sitting on the armrest of his couch. You don't owe me, he said quietly, but his voice carried weights. Not like that. Taehyung dropped his hands, staring at the floor. Don't lie to me, he said, his voice barely above a whisper. You saved my mom's life. When she was dying in that hospital and I was just some broke kid with a guitar and no way to pay the bills, you stepped in. You paid for everything, surgery, meds, all of it. He looked up, his eyes meeting Jungkook's. I wouldn't have made it without you. Jungkook's jaw twitched and he looked away, his fingers tapping against his knee. I didn't do it for a debt, Taehyung. I did it because you were my friend. Taehyung shook his head, a tear slipping down his cheek. Don't act like it's nothing. You asked for one thing in return. One thing. A price I had to pay. Jungkook sighed. I just can't help it, he said, his voice low, almost a growl. The first time I saw her, Taehyung, she was dancing in the rain. Outside that old cafe, her hair soaked, her laugh louder than the storm. I've never seen anyone so alive. He stood up, looked at Taehyung, his eyes burning with something raw, unguarded. I fell for her right then. I didn't know she was yours. I'm not a bad human. Taehyung's chest heaved, his breath uneven. He stood crossing the room in three quick strides, stopping inches from Jungkook. You think that makes it easier? He hissed, his voice shaking. You think it's okay because you fell for her? Jungkook didn't flinch, didn't step back, and I'm telling you to let her go. He said, his voice steady but laced with pain. Not because of the favor I did to you, but because you can't give her what she needs. Not now. Your life, its tours, interviews, fans, and you said it yourself. You don't have time for anything. Taehyung's fist shot out, grabbing Jungkook's collar. Don't throw my words back at me, he growled, his face inches from Jungkook's. I said that to her because I had to, because you made me. Jungkook's hand stayed at his sides, his eyes locked on Taehyung's. I didn't make you do anything, he said, his voice calm but firm. You chose this. You chose to walk away. I just asked for something and you agreed. Think a little practically, Taehyung. Even if you get married to her, you think your fans will not hate her or threaten her to leave you? Taehyung's grip tightened, his knuckles white against Jungkook's tailor suit. His chest rose and fell rapidly, his eyes searching Jungkook's face for something, anything to hold on to. Then slowly his hands loosened, falling to his sides. He stepped back, his shoulders slumping, defeated. You don't know what it's like, he whispered, his voice breaking. To walk away from the only person who ever made you feel whole. Jungkook's expression flickered, a crack in his composure. He ran a hand through his hair, turning away. Maybe I don't, he said quietly, but I know I can give her a life you can't. Stability, a home, something real. Taehyung sank back onto the couch, his head in his hands. You don't even know her, he muttered, his voice muffled. You saw her dance in the rain and you think that's enough? Jungkook turned, his eyes softening. I learned, he said. I'll spend every day learning her, and I'll never make her wait for a promise I can't keep. Taehyung didn't respond, his hands still covering his face. The room fell silent, the city lights casting long shadows across the floor. Jungkook walked to the counter, picking up his keys, and headed for the door. He paused, his hands on the knob. I'm meeting her next week, he said, his voice low. I'll take care of her. I swear, maybe my way of getting her was wrong. Taehyung didn't look up. The door clicked shut and he was alone again. He reached for the whiskey glass, his hand shaking as he brought it to his lips. The liquid burned, but it didn't drown the image of Vian's face, her eyes wide with hurt, her voice breaking as she begged him to stay. He set the glass down, his fingers brushing against his phone. He picked it up, opening their old messages, his thumb hovering over her name. He typed, I'm sorry, then deleted it, the word too small for the weight of his guilt. He tossed the phone onto the couch and leaned back, staring at the ceiling, tears slipping silently down his face. The hostess led her to a table near the window where a man stood, his back to her. He turned and Wine's breath caught. Jungkook was tall, his dark suit fitting him perfectly, his smile warm but cautious. His eyes met hers, and for a moment she saw something kindness, maybe or nervousness. Wine, he said, stepping forward, his hand extended. I am Jungkook. She shook his hand, her grip weak. Hi, she said, her voice barely audible. She sat down across from him, her hands folding in her lap, her eyes darting to the window. Jungkook sat, his posture relaxed but his fingers tapping lightly on the table. You look nice, he said, his voice gentle. I know this is weird, meeting like this. Vine nodded, her lips pressed together. Yeah, she said, her fingers brushing the necklace again. It's weird. He leaned forward, his eyes searching hers. I don't expect anything tonight, he said. Just let's talk, get to know each other. Vine's chest tightened. She forced a smile, her hands clenching under the table. Okay, she said, her voice soft. Let's talk. The waiter approached and Jungkook ordered wine, his voice steady, polite. Wine stared at the menu, the words blurring. She could feel Jungkook's eyes on her, kind but heavy, like they carried a promise she wasn't ready to hear. The necklace felt like a weight around her neck, a tether to a life she'd lost. She stayed, her hands steadying as she picked up the glass of water, her heart pounding with the weight of moving forward. Hey guys, this is it for this video. If you enjoyed, make sure to like, share, subscribe and comment who would you choose. Also make sure to follow me only at the rate lustrous ffs, and I will see you in the next video. Till then, bye bye.